Hi guys, welcome back to another edition of Raw Intuition Inside Scoop. We've got another amazing guest for you today that I'm so happy to be able to introduce you to. It's Tim Van Orden, and Tim is a raw vegan athlete. He is a health coach and author. He does so many things. And the thing that I really like about Tim is how he's able to tie in our emotional state with all the different things that we do in our lives, whether it's eating or if it's lifestyle. Tim does a lot of research on this topic, so we're going to talk about, first off, Tim's athletic performance on raw foods and kind of where that's taken him, and also different aspects of how our emotions tie in with our food choices and with our basically just our lifestyle choices. So, Tim, thank you so much for joining us. It's really a pleasure to have you.
Thank you for having me on the show.
Yeah.
The channel.
Yeah. So first off, can you give just a little bit of a background on yourself? Maybe how you lived before raw foods, how you found the raw vegan diet, and kind of how it's developed into where you are today?
It's interesting. I've been having this conversation for a little over 10 years now.
Yeah.
And it keeps changing. Although the story is the same, the history is the same, how I talk about it has changed.
Yeah.
And I find that really interesting. So you're going to get the latest version
Awesome.
of that story. In 1997, I went vegan. I'd moved to Los Angeles. I was an actor at the time, or at least attempting to be a film actor. I was a stage actor prior to that.
Okay.
And I was told that going vegan would keep my hair nice and thick, and it wouldn't go gray, and I wouldn't get wrinkly. I wouldn't lose my hair. It was basically vanity.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the actors were vegan for reasons of staying young.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought, well, at the age of 30, I'm already kind of old, so I think I'm going to go the vegan route to try to hold on to what I've got. I really loved it. I went from eating McDonald's and Taco Bell just about every day, kid you not. I would have a McDonald's meal every single day, sometimes twice a day. Taco Bell would generally be 3 to 5 meals a week. But I lived on cheeseburgers and bean and cheese burritos. And when I did cook at home, it was often ramen noodles covered in grated cheese or toast with melted cheese on top of it. That was my diet. It was horrific. My drink of choice was Mountain Dew. And I went through my late teens and all of my 20s eating that way. And then when I switched to vegan, I had a pretty dramatic transformation. But in 2004, I got really sick. I imagine it was related to stress. Living in Los Angeles was really, really stressful, and the whole acting scene and working in a restaurant and 4 other jobs at the same time, and many traffic, smog, who knows? But the combination of many different factors led to me developing chronic fatigue syndrome. I became deeply depressed and basically checked out of life. Lost my job. Lost my friends, and was about to lose my apartment and end up on the street. So,
wow.
Some people that I had met at the restaurant, worked at a restaurant for 7 years, a vegan restaurant, they urged me to try a raw diet. Over the course of working there, I had met many people who ate a raw diet, and I thought it was kind of crazy. There's no tofu cheesecakes and tempeh, and no soy Reuben sandwiches and no cookies, and why would you want to eat like that?
Yeah.
Salads and smoothies, it just sounds really boring. But when you're really sick, you're willing to do anything, or at least I was. So I thought I'd try it for a couple days, maybe a week. And the results were pretty profound in that first week. I started to feel like I was getting healthy just after a week of switching.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought I'd give it 2 weeks. Felt even better. Okay, maybe I'll give it a month. Felt even better. So I kept prolonging the experiment, and in the process kept evolving what it was that I was eating on a raw food diet. At first, I didn't call myself a raw foodist. I simply wanted to get better. So I'm on this, like a detox diet, or I'm on a no sugar diet. I'm on a salad diet or a smoothie diet or a superfood diet. I was just doing what I could to heal.
Mm-hmm.
But the more that I stayed eating fresh salads and fresh fruits and smoothies and some nuts and seeds and superfoods, the better I felt. I started reading books, started going to David Wolf's talks, Gabriel Cousins when he would come to LA. I was soaking up all the information I could, and eventually called myself a raw foodist. And again, there's been a huge evolution in my diet and also how I approach my definition of diet, or what my goal is personally and as a coach. But that was in 2004 that I made that switch. So it's 11 and a half years at this point.
Nice.
And it's been a pretty dramatic transformation.
Yeah. Athletically, how has that affected your performance in your competitions and things like that?
Well, I was an athlete in high school, and I had Olympic aspirations. That doesn't mean I had Olympic abilities, but I had Olympic aspirations. I was really fortunate where I grew up in Bennington, Vermont. 4 of the people that I competed with on my team went on to become Olympians.
Wow.
So I was, I was decent, but I was not as good as these guys and gals. So I had that aspiration. A lot of this small town in Vermont, and we produce a bunch of Olympians, so that was my dream.
Cool.
But at the age of 19 or 20, I had a lot of injuries. My knee and ankle were pretty much permanently injured, I was told by doctors. I was dealing with depression. At that time, I didn't know what depression was, but I just couldn't get out of bed. I couldn't do the training. I just wouldn't do the workouts. So I gave up at somewhere between 19 and 20. And that was it. That was the end of my athletic aspirations. And then after a year of eating a raw diet, a raw vegan diet, which was the end of 2005, I felt so young. I was 37 at the time, but I felt like I was 18 again. I felt like that kid who had that young body that could do anything. So I started running, just on a whim, just to see what I could do. You've got so many people talking about this concept called energy.
Mm-hmm.
A raw food diet gives you more energy. Energy, energy, energy. Everything is more energy. Food has more energy. Well, how does that translate into physical reality? There's a lot of talk. But at that time, 11 years ago, I couldn't find a single athlete that was competing or training on this diet. There might have been some, but YouTube didn't exist yet. Facebook was in its infancy. There just wasn't this massive sea of people eating this diet and doing great athletic things. So I'm like, well, I'm going to do this, and maybe I'm the first. I don't know. But let's see what's possible. So from the age of 20 to 37, I really didn't do much of anything. I lifted weights every now and again as an actor just to try to, stay fit. But it was, again, for vanity. It wasn't for actual fitness.
Yeah.
I ran a little bit in my 20s, maybe, for a month out of the year, I'd try a little bit of running, but my injuries would always be right there to greet me. So switching to a raw diet, I believe, allowed me to become an athlete again after a 17-year absence. So I really jumped in. And now, since early 2006, I have been training and competing. I'm now 47 years old, and I'm just as fast as I've ever been in my life. My times right now are, the equivalent to a pretty fast 18-year-old. And that's exciting to me. So yeah, it's made a huge difference.
Yeah, that's incredible. And you've won, I did a little bit of research on your history here, and it looks like, and correct me if I'm wrong on these numbers, but 8 U.S. championships and 3-time U.S. Runner of the Year.
Well, 10 U.S. championships and 4 U.S. Masters Runner of the Year. A master is someone who's over the age of 40.
Okay.
So they have 2 distinctions. There's the Open, and then there's the Masters. Open is 39 and below. So there are guys in their 20s and 30s that can definitely school me, but 40 and over, watch out.
Wow.
So all the guys that were, the best in the country in their 20s and 30s. When they get to their 40s, they become a master. And
Yeah.
so that's, I've won 4 of those U.S. Runner of the Year awards and 10 U.S. Masters titles.
Wow. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah. What is it about raw foods and fruits and vegetables that allow you to do this? I mean, what do you think it is about them?
Well, I don't think there's anything special about a raw diet or fruits and vegetables. I think it's that everything else that people consume is problematic. And you're simply letting your body do what it was designed to do. You're allowing your genes to properly function because you're removing all the crap that causes your body to spend resources detoxing, spend resources fixing damage, spend resources fighting different toxic elements that you're consuming. It's just the body runs best on simple, whole plant foods. So it's not that they're special, it's that everything else is problematic.
Yeah, I totally agree. What would be an example of something like, how do you prepare if you're going to be getting ready for a competition? Like, what do you eat? Or even if you're just going to go out for a run, do you have certain things that you'll eat before your workout or after your workout?
Yeah, and that's changed a lot over the past 10 or 11 years. I used to do these incredibly rich, dense, expensive superfood smoothies, but I've gotten away from that. Now I rely primarily on very simple whole foods. My green smoothie, which I have a recipe on YouTube, kale, bananas, blueberries, dates, sometimes with chia seeds. That's my standard smoothie, and that gets me to wherever I want to go. It's very rare that I would change that up. So it's not as if I do anything special before a big workout or do anything special before a race. I just eat what I would normally eat because it's the most optimal fuel any day of the week. Like, why would I want to feel better on race day than I do any other day?
True.
Like, I want to feel fueled up and fit and ready to go no matter what day of the week it is, no matter what I have on my schedule. So I approach it like this is a lifestyle rather than, oh, I'm getting ready for a competition, so I have to behave in a certain strict way. It's like, no, I want to feel great every day of the week.
Yeah. So back in 2015 or the end of 2014, you injured your Achilles.
Yeah.
And you thought that perhaps you weren't going to be able to race anymore or compete.
Running, yeah.
Yeah, run at all. How did you go about recovering from this, and what do you think the raw diet or a vegan diet played in your recovery?
Well, it was actually 2013 that I injured it, and I took almost 2 years off from running. And the doctors said there was no way to fix it. The calcium had grown up into the Achilles tendon, so bone spurs growing up into the tendon, which are very, very painful. And they said there's some surgeries that they might do, but I would never have the strength again that I do now. So it's basically for people that just want to walk but don't ever want to run again, they offer that surgery. There's other techniques that don't necessarily work. We don't have a lot of evidence showing that they work, but we can try them anyway. I said the best thing you can do is just stop running. So it looked like that's what my future was going to hold for me. But running is more than just fitness for me, and it's more than racing. It's a way that I express myself, and it's a way that I engage with the world and with myself. Running allows me to achieve certain states of being and certain states of awareness that I don't get anywhere else. To me, it's like a really, really deep meditation, and it's a complete physiological overhaul. So I miss that. So not running was profoundly difficult for me, not just because I wasn't competing or hanging out with my friends or couldn't keep up this athletic resume. It was that my body and mind were suffering from not running. We live in a really sedentary lifestyle. That's the norm. People think you're strange and extreme if you move your body a lot every day.
Right.
But that's what your body wants to do. That's what your body was built to do, to move a lot every day. And when you don't do that, all kinds of things happen. So in August of 2015, I went to a PT, physical therapist, ortho-doc combination, who works with Olympic athletes. And I'm like, I've got to start running again. What do I do? And he did some x-rays and ultrasound and said that your tendon is really, really solid. It's healed, but it's healed with all this calcium in it. He said, so as long as you don't mind the pain, go ahead and run. But it's healed. It's just going to hurt like hell. So my diet didn't really have an impact one way or the other. It was a healthy response. When you run with an injured tendon, which I was in 2013, I had tendinosis, which is degeneration of the tendon, because I just kept loading it and loading it and loading it, too much uphill running, and I didn't give it time to recover. The body eventually says, well, we're going to have to make this stronger to handle this kind of load, so let's start putting calcium in there. Let's turn it into a bone instead of a tendon. That way it won't break, it won't snap. So it's a healthy response to put calcium in there if you're not stopping and slowing down, which I didn't do. So there's nothing problematic about that response. It's just that it has certain consequences. So diet really wasn't an issue. But as far as me running again, because I got up to, from August, where I wasn't running prior to August, to November, I got up to 80 miles a week in a pretty short period of time. And that was basically about changing the way that I run. I changed my foot strike, which you hear a lot of people talking about online, barefoot running and whatnot, like how to properly land. And I was doing the whole barefoot style where you land on the forefoot, the front of the foot. And that puts a great deal of stress on your Achilles tendon and your soleus muscle, which is what the tendon becomes.
Okay.
So the tendon becomes the soleus muscle and then it leads into the calf muscle. So that barefoot running, yeah, it's great, but it takes years to fully adapt the tendon and the soleus muscle to be able to handle that kind of continued impact, and I wasn't ready for that. So now I run with a flat foot.
Okay.
I'm not a heel striker. I'm not a forefoot striker. I'm a flat foot striker.
Wow.
And basically, I use my arch as my cushioning mechanism. So I hit with a flat foot, and I let the arch collapse.
Okay.
And that's where I get the impact reduction from, is that arch compression. And that takes the load off the tendon, and I've been able to bring my mileage way back up again.
Detoxify your mind and body. Be the change you want to see. Small steps towards living better. Small steps to where I want to be.